If you're like me, you want your time spent working out at the gym to be productive. You want it to lead to the results that you're aiming for, like muscle growth. Over the 20 years that I've been consistently lifting weights at the gym, I've learned a lot about how to do that. That being so, in this video, I'm going to walk you through my latest full body gym workout, sharing with you how I approach my exercise selection and exercise execution in the way that leads me to getting the best results possible. My hope is that in sharing it with you, it might give you some ideas for how you can maximize the muscle growth results that you get from your gym workouts too. Of course, everyone is different. So the way that I approach each exercise, like how I perform them, how I think about them, how I'm set up for them, it might not be the exact same perfect fit for you. So you can keep that in mind as you're watching. Before we get started, if you find that this video is helpful and that you're enjoying it, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. Okay, let's get started. You can't live with them, you can't live without them. Deficit Bulgarian split squats are up first in the workout. For those of you who have done these before, you know that they're an absolute monster of a lower body exercise. They hit the quads, glutes, adductors, or inner thigh muscles, and even hit the hamstrings a bit. And when done well, they hit those muscles hard. Depending on your stance, mainly how far you set your front foot forward and how much you lean forward or stand upright, you might be able to bias your glute or quad more or less. For me, I don't intentionally try to bias anything. I set myself in the position that purely feels the most comfortable across my hips, knees, and ankles, and the position that leaves me able to move with a very deep range of motion, and then I just stick with that. That's a principle I follow for most exercises, by the way. Sticking with the exercise setup that just feels the most comfortable, like I'm moving with the groove of my body, rather than trying to force an uncomfortable body position in favor of biasing a specific muscle. The makeshift platform for my front foot is what creates the deficit. In essence, having the foot elevated allows me to move deeper at the bottom of each rep compared to if I wasn't elevating it. The extra depth seems to have been doing great things for my lower body muscle growth progress over the years, which checks out. There's more range of motion, particularly when it comes to keeping tension on the right muscles. And that means more mechanical tension. And more mechanical tension often leads to more muscle growth. The deficit makes the exercise tougher, that's for sure. But that's exactly what I want. As far as technique goes, I move slower on the way down, pause for a second at the bottom of each rep, and then move up a bit more explosively, but still with control. Bracing my midsection helps me to stay balanced throughout each rep too. From there, I do as many reps as I can. Basically, as many reps as I can survive anyways. Bent over dumbbell rows are next to hit my back. For me personally, I prefer using dumbbells for bent over rows compared to using barbells. Since the dumbbells allow for freer movement so that my arms can converge and diverge naturally at the bottom and top of each rep, it feels more comfortable across my joints and actually leaves me with a stronger mind-muscle connection overall. When I do these, you'll notice that my upper back rounds over and my shoulders slide forward at the bottom of each rep. Though you don't have to do it like that, I do it intentionally to seek out a deeper stretch across my back. The more rounding I allow, the more I feel it in both my lats and traps. The less rounding I allow, while still allowing my shoulder girdle to slide forward, the more I feel it predominantly in my traps and less in my lats. In opposed to chest-supported rows, either on machines or with dumbbells or T-bar row setup, bent over rows without the chest support involves a lot of the spinal erectors. The spinal erectors are a huge muscle that covers the span of the back. So for me personally, aiming to build the most developed back that I possibly can, hitting that muscle as definitely desirable for me. When I do these, I really set my mind's eye on keeping tension on my back the way I want and really minimize the swinging or amount of body English that I use. I've struggled in the past to uphold a strong mind-muscle connection when I've gone just through the motions of performing this movement using extra momentum and swinging. But keeping the movement strict, under control, and aiming to keep tension exactly where I want it has had a massive impact. It's made a big difference in the progress I've seemed to have made from performing it in that way. Incline dumbbell lateral raises are up next. Over the past several years, I've done these in a few separate ways. The first is by raising the dumbbells in a more diagonal path to the side where they move slightly forward. And the second is where I raise the dumbbells almost completely out to the side, like how I'm doing them here. Both variations are great and just bias slightly different parts of the delts. For me, I've found that I get the most out of these from keeping the movement ultra controlled, regardless of what variation of them that I do. I like pausing at the top for a second and move on the slower, controlled side both as I raise the weights up and especially as I raise them down, or lower them down, I should say. I use light loads on this and prefer mid to higher rep ranges personally. It helps me to keep tension precisely on my delts in doing so. Plus, it leaves my joints feeling pain-free. I found that lifting much past 20 pounds leaves me with joint pain, regardless of the direction I raise my arms, whether it be diagonally to the side or directly to the side. 15 to 20 pounds for higher rep sets is the sweet spot for me. These are also a movement that I love adding drop sets and or myo-rep sets to really hit the delts hard, to squeeze as much out of them as I can possibly get away with. Next up are some cable rows, to squeeze a bit more out of my back. Similar to the bent over dumbbell rows, or any row for that matter, you can vary the way you perform these to bias different parts of the back more or less. Allowing for a more rounded spine and with pulling the handle closer to the bottom of your torso, say below the rib cage, will probably bias more of your lats. Keeping your spine more upright and aiming to pull the handles higher up toward your torso will likely lead to biasing the traps a bit more. Honestly, I really like experimenting with and varying my exact setup with these, and will often alternate between variations between sessions even, rather than just sticking to one. Though it might be more optimal to stick with a single variation for as long as possible, I get enjoyment from changing things up with this one a bit, so I let myself do it. Regardless of the exact setup variation I choose with these, I'm always thinking about moving with precision. Again, like the bent over rows, I try to keep tension exactly where I want it, refraining from using body English or swinging, since that's what's worked best for me. And that goes for using heavier or lighter loads or anything in between. And good old flat dumbbell bench press is up next. Out of all the different chest exercises out there, like barbell bench press, incline press, machine or dumbbell flies, push-ups, and so on, these are my favorite. That's not to say I don't enjoy and get a lot out of other exercises, though. I really like slight incline dumbbell bench press and deficit push-ups in particular, and would be lying if I didn't mention that aiming to get strong as heck on the flat barbell bench press isn't something a part of me is always at least wanting to be doing a little bit. The reason why I like flat dumbbell bench press in particular so much is twofold. First, I always, and I mean always, can uphold a strong mind-muscle connection with them. It's virtually never where I feel like I'm not hitting my chest the way I want when I do them. And second, and this one might be the real deal breaker, is because out of every chest exercise, this is the one that leads to the absolute least amount of shoulder and elbow fatigue accumulation, or the amount of wear and tear that I experience when doing them. With most movements, some wear and tear is to be expected upon pushing your limits over a long period of time, It's just the cost of doing business when it comes to aiming to build muscle. But for how my body is built and the nature of being able to move at this particular angle with the ability to move freely with the dumbbells leaves me with almost zero noticeable wear and tear around my joints. This is great because it means I can progress and keep performing with them without being disrupted by any nagging shoulder or elbow pain, which often eventually ends up being the case with most other movements. So I do the movement very frequently. It's the true bread and butter exercise for my chest. And that's the workout. Just 5 exercises performed in a way that leads me to getting tons of muscle growth stimulus. Hopefully, some of the explanation that I shared with you might be helpful for you on your own journey to building as much muscle as possible. At this point, I'd love to know your feedback. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or insights about the workout that I've shared. I love talking about this stuff, so your questions and insights are very welcome. Before this video comes to a close, I want to quickly let you know about the work that I do. When I'm not making YouTube videos or Instagram content, I work full-time as an online physique coach, where I help my clients to accomplish their muscle growth and fat loss goals by optimizing their approach to strength training and nutrition, and I coach them through the process. I've been doing this work for over 7 years and love helping my clients to not only transform their bodies, but ultimately their lives. If you've been considering getting some help with accomplishing your own physique goals, feel free to hit the link in the description below, where you can learn a little bit more about the work that I do and how I can help you. You can even use that link to schedule a free video consultation with me. If you have any questions about my coaching or how I can help you, just email me at sam@jadeathletics.ca. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.